It's not one of those things where they don't release anything because it's pre-CitizenCon. And I'm going to be very critical of this particular episode, ladies and gentlemen. Very critical, because I have been waiting around all day for this and told everybody to hold off. We're walking.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Around the Verse.
I don't know. I don't like these intros. I mean, these intros. I don't get it. They're all community. They're all community intros. Is that what's going on here? That was the I'm not quite sure exactly what that was supposed to be.
I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Chris Roberts.
Today, we'll dive into in-game chat, scanning, prosthetic limbs, and some useful back-end tools. But first, we have news on the state of object container streaming and Alpha 3.3.
Okay.
Yes, so both Alpha.
Okay. This is big. This is big and breaking news here. We just did a video about OCS. I explained it specifically. I'll put a link in this particular video for the fans here of Star Citizen in the channel. Dame says, stupid SIG videos are the worst. They say the same shit over and over. Wonder what major gameplay mechanic they're going to tell us. They have no idea how it's going to work this week. Oh, wow, Damon. Damon's a little upset there.
3.3 and object container streaming have now spent some time in the hands of the Avocati. And the good news is OCS, object container streaming, is performing much better than anticipated.
Good. That's good. And I actually had somebody from the Avocati, one of the avocados, as it were, speak with me, and another Avocati member comment on a video that kind of corroborated this particular information, that OCS is in fact very helpful for the gameplay. Like, amazingly helpful for the gameplay. So I don't think he's full of shit here telling us this, because I've got two different sources who are avocados, and they're playing and they're telling me that the OCS is really kind of clearing up a lot of the gameplay issues. So here's the hoping.
And we're seeing frame rates, well, not all of them, but some up in the triple-digit range, which is pretty awesome. With these huge increases, we've redistributed developer bandwidth by shifting focus exclusively to our build that includes OCS. This means instead of releasing Alpha 3.3 without OCS to the live servers at CitizenCon, we've decided instead to open the PTU to all backers on October 10th with a build that includes OCS and all the performance gains that comes with it. This will allow us to get
Wait a second. Let's rewind this. Let's rewind this for 1 second here. I just got to hear this again just to make sure I heard the right thing. Hold on a second.
OCS. This means instead of releasing Alpha 3.3 without OCS to the live servers at CitizenCon, we've decided instead to open the PTU to all backers on October 10th with a build that includes OCS and all the performance gains that comes with it. This will allow us to get the content and improvements into your hands even faster than we would have done with the other plan. Hurston and Lawville will soon...
Okay, wait. I just got to take a break right there. That is amazing. That is faster than I expected. In fact, that is very, very good news. So let's see on October 10th what happens on performance. PTU is going to have OCS, and that's shocking to me. That's actually shocking.
Soon be added afterwards in an incremental 3.3 patch.
Very cool. So 3.1 and 3.2 were date-based releases. What happened with 3.3?
Object container streaming is a foundational technology for the game. It's one of the...
They're explaining it. They're explaining that the OCS was not created by them, that OCS is something that has always existed that they're using it, but they're probably redesigning it for the game. This is very, very good that they're doing this.
The big remaining things that we've got to get working properly. Originally, it was sort of iffy whether it was going to make the date, so we said, well, we're going to shift it. At the same time, putting two builds out in the hands of our Avocati members.
I understand, Damon. And yeah, Jeff, I'm not quite sure.
But when we went out there, a couple of things happened. One, the Avocati were really quite excited by the potential performance gains, and of course we were too, because it was nice to sort of see it validated properly in the real world. You know, you guys should focus on this. The other aspect of it is we're doing stuff at a huge amount of detail and fidelity, so we had to do a full refactor of the system, because for most games, if you play games, and streaming happens a lot in sort of single player games where they know which way you're going, so they sort of start to stream the level that's ahead of you in as you get towards it. But it's very linear, you know exactly where the...
This is very interesting here, because this sounds like they've done it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be this serious about talking about it and taking the time that he is out on this particular ATV. This is good. This is very good. This must have been the reason why it took so long to get this particular episode out, because that is pretty big news. And I'm wondering if they actually are able to implement it in the way that they are, or they're just pushing to rush for it. But like I said, the Ivocati members that contacted me directly said that it is a huge improvement. Huge. And they were very, very explicit about it being like a major improvement. Let's see here. Anywhere in the 40 to 60 range would make for a very, very playable. Hell, anything above a 30 for most people would make it a very playable experience, Jeff. I'm probably going to be too busy to go on the P2 anyway, says DY. Oh, shit, DY. All right, let's keep listening. Like, I feel like DY is just like Debbie Downer, like... But they wouldn't give you details on the FPS. No, they did not give details on the FPS at all, because I feel like if they were to do that, I think they feel like it would be a breach of being an Ivocati. So let's see here. Let's keep watching this.
Players going with us, we don't know where the player, because you can go anywhere in the star system, and then on top of that, we need to stream a load in the object containers in the background while you're still playing the game. And so everything that does the loading of not just the textures, the models,
this
but the data format, the objects, all the entities that are contained in these object containers has to happen in the background multi-threaded. So we had to do a huge pass over all the game code, because a lot of the game code in Lumberyard assumes you're just running on the main thread. And we have to do a lot of initialization of all the entities, and all the loading and everything all has to be on background worker threads. It's a pretty monumental amount of engineering. We've been working on the foundations of this for a couple of years, and so this is easily as big, if not bigger, than the 64, from 32-bit precision to 64-bit precision we did a few years ago.
Because it's multiplayer and I have freedom of choice, that it makes it more complex on the back end in the threading behind the scenes, because you don't know which way I'm going to go, and so it makes the engineering more complicated on the back end. Most single player games, they know where you're going, and so that transition is much easier to program on the game code.
Wow, good. Kudos to Sandy for that. I'm giving props to Sandy for that. That is interesting. Very interesting. You can tell Chris is very happy that she's understanding what the hell's going on.
Yes, whole development staff. We had a sort of
good job, Sandy,
meeting on Monday where it felt people were having too much context switching going between this branch and this branch. Which branch am I fixing stuff in?
Okay, so you've now you've now focused it into 3.3 with OCS.
Yeah, so we made a decision to try and focus all the resources onto OCS, because ultimately that's where we want to be anyway, no matter what. And we also feel like that will be better for 3.4.
Does this affect 3.4?
Well, we feel like this will be better for 3.4. I mean, we want to be date-driven on 3.4, so have it by the end of the year, and not wasting time on the non-OCS branch, which is essentially a dead branch. Means that we'll be having resources focused onto 3.4 sooner, because they won't have to be still trying to fix up OCS, because we started on it late because we try to get the non-OCS out first.
All right, looking to our community, our Spanish fans have been
ecstatic. They're ecstatic about putting that news out there. I mean, like, they're absolutely ecstatic about like getting past this hurdle. This sounds to me, I mean, like, if you're looking at him, let's go back here. If you're looking at how it's like a giant weight has been lifted off Chris, I really feel like this has solved a lot of the issues just looking at Chris here. Now, this is just me kind of like you know, extrapolating from what I'm seeing here, but like watch towards the end here, like how happy he gets that this is, you know, that OCS has finally been implemented and has fixed a lot of these loading the problems. Look, I mean, look at him. He's ecstatic, man. Like it looks like they have actually fixed a lot of what was the issues this year with the gameplay. Actually, maybe outrageously annoyed with is the better description. Hate is too strong, says DY.
Our Spanish fans have been at it again.
Yes, they certainly have. The Skynet group just organized an impressive 50-person space battle.
They entered the Hall of Fame by lining up all 50 participants and firing the Prospector's mining laser through all of them.
Ouch. Well, we're going to have to start putting safety warnings on those things, obviously. It's not how they're meant to be used.
No. Now on to development updates. The gameplay feature and UI teams have been working on ongoing improvements to the in-game chat system.
Recent updates include new channels and settings and an updated visor display.
VoIP continues to be tested as we get the feature ready for its upcoming debut.
It's the laughter. I'm laughing full of anger.
Yeah, internal testing is ramping up. We'll get a look at VoIP as well as FOIP at CitizenCon next week. Of course, with Alpha 3.3 currently in the PTU, we've already seen some of our Avocati testers trying out the tech and testing it themselves.
Meanwhile, devs continue to polish the improved scanning system.
Right now, the system is being fleshed out. Differentiating between things like mineable assets and ship identification is key with the expansion of scanning capabilities.
We've been working on a new tool that will help our artists present their work for internal review in the most efficient way possible. Let's go to Forrest Steffen for a walkthrough of the new backend tech.
I want to take you through a new tool that we have developed titled the Look Development Tool. So let me go ahead and just grab this lamp. Basically, with the click of a button, it hides everything that's inside of the environment, and then it just shows what we want it to show, which is a very simple light setup in a very simple room. Once we have the model into look dev mode, we have a full feature set. We have the ability to do turntables. We have the ability to change kind of the lighting condition. We also can kind of look at reflection passes. So with the click of a button, you're saving an hour of time. And this tool also ensures that the developers are all reviewing the different assets in the same environment. So it creates a sense of cohesiveness during the review process. So the last thing that we can look at, outside of Grimhex, you know, maybe an artist wants to take a look at the Hornet in a isolated lighting condition. So I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into look dev mode. Somebody needs a turntable. The fact that I'm in look dev mode, I'm going to go ahead and skip the whole process of building a track view and a camera rig, etc. and so forth. And I'm going to go ahead and just toggle my capture, 60 frames per second, sets my path, hit OK, and now it's automatically capturing a turntable for me. It's not a feature that's for the game, it's a feature that's for the development of the game. It's an efficient means to get the asset approved faster. And that means the faster we can get approved, faster we can get into the build, the faster we can get it on your computers to play with these assets. And that's kind of the advantage of this tool.
So it seems like this tool will be great for developers, but what about for the game itself and for the players?
Well, so it's going to help the game be more balanced, which is really important because we have PBR, which is physically based sort of rendering. And so therefore the actual materials are made to respond to certain different kind of light levels. And so if you've got an artist that's built one to a different lighting setup than one that's built over here, and you put them together, they don't fit. So what this is going to enable us to do is ensure that we have less clashes in the end result. And so this prevents that, and it also creates tools that are better for review. So setting up the asset with lights and animation so you can see it takes a bit of time. So this will mean that developers can sort of iterate faster and provide more consistent assets.
I like it. Very cool.
Sounds good to me.
Moving to Grimhex Station, where Forrest parked his ship in that last bit, the elevator system has finally been fixed. Yay!
Yay!
This recent dev work should lead to a significant decline in elevator-based casualties in the area.
Ridiculous, man.
Yes, that'll be a good thing. So on the back end, we've improved the Flash tools our UI developers use to allow for on-the-fly changes without having to reload the game world in the editor.
Here's UI Creative Director Zane Bien with more.
So over the past couple of months, we've been working on developing some new authoring tools. What that is having a standard API in which gameplay programmers can easily expose variables that we can hook into with the UI. The other aspect that we've been working on that we term building blocks, and that's basically a first foray into the authoring tool that allows artists and designers to easily place UI elements into the game world. Currently, what we have to do right now is wireframing and prototyping in a separate program. Then that gets translated into Photoshop. And then that then has to get translated into Flash, which finally gets translated into the game engine. So one of the eventual goals where we want to get to with this tool is to be able to shift our entire workflow into the game engine. So using the same
That's what I'm getting
to
at.
prototype, to mock
These are all
things
very
up,
important tools. I'm going to stop it for a moment here. So like, it's interesting, the last PBR it was rendering basically of objects where light was to hit on those particular objects, and that particular object, depending upon what the texture or it was designed to be, would reflect the light in a pattern that would be most you know, good, most what I want to say, attractive to the eye as possible. And so what they're talking about prior to this is when they had two different light sources, like with two different colors, what would happen is that things started to clash. So they developed some type of tool to create some cohesiveness, to basically like put it within the particular item, that they can click on it, that they can get the particular mesh that they need in order so that the lighting itself didn't clash with the other particular color of lighting, and that everything kind of like goes together without being too technicolor. So this is a particular tool that comes in handy, especially since there's so many different types of light sources in Star Citizen. You're going to see, like, especially like if you go to Hex or you go anywhere where it's like different bright color types of areas, you know, there's like some splash over. They got to be careful, because if that particular thing merges, it doesn't look right, it doesn't look good to the eye, it doesn't look very realistic. So it's interesting. That's actually a pretty huge hurdle. That should actually give them a hell of a lot more time as far as the artists, and as far as the people that are laying out the actual areas, as far as the kind of the design of the area. I can't imagine what this game is going to look like with ray tracing in the game, but that is like 4 years from now, says Jeff. Yeah, I mean, like this, all these things that they're talking about right now are tools that are basically going to make it easier for the designers to design. And it's interesting because, like, when we get to see the inside of SIG as the game designers are going through the game and continually putting out new assets, you start to see like these hurdles that they hit. And you start to understand that, you know, these little details that Chris loves, these little details are what is taking the amount of time that it has taken thus far. It is the reason why the game hasn't come out. It is the reason why we are so far behind on the project, is Chris is focusing on all these little details, because he believes, and I do too, in a respect, that the details are, you know, what is going to make the game. You know, like every single detail has to have the realism to it. And that is, you know, a lot of the time within any game, in gaming, what ends up happening is that the immersion of being in the game breaks with the gamer and the game, because a lot of times you don't have the detail required to keep you in it. And so I think that's what the whole deal with Chris is, in detail. I believe that's what, you know, why detail is so important to Chris. It's always been very important to Chris. These tools are being designed to pay for the technical debt that they have piled up over the last 3 years. They have piled up the debt that they have in the past 3 years because they continue to like refine this game. And every time they get into an area where they get a new hurdle, it seems as if they almost need new tech to deal with it, or tech that exists, but the tech that they have isn't necessarily efficient or sufficient enough to deal with the hurdles that they come across. So what they end up doing is they take the tech and then they kind of modify it. Now, whether they're doing it or whether they're actually subcontracting out the work It's you know, it's neither here nor there as long as they're finding a way to get this done. But they've gone through this dance before, Jeff, and this is the problem, right? I mean, this is the devil's in the details. I think I was talking to you in one of the YouTube videos earlier where I was saying the actual, you know, the devil is in the details, and Chris loves the details, you know. So, but this is good. I mean, like, you know, the more tools that they can have to help them get over these hurdles faster, the better. And the thing is, you know, because of the process of it all, and because of these hurdles, the thing that scares me and has always scared me from the very beginning of getting behind this project is that every time they come into these hurdles, there's an amount of time, there's a process it takes to develop tools like these. And then what ends up happening in the cycle of it all, trying to get the details to be the best detail that they can get, is that a year or two from now, this particular piece of software that's designed to help them becomes obsolete. And that is a cycle. And that is, you know, that's what happens with tech. And so the cycle itself seems to be an issue. It's like a catch-22, you know, a catch-21, where like it just keeps, or a catch-21 or catch-22. Sorry, I can't get the number right. But it's just like a repetitive cycle. So hopefully the tech can start to outpace the problems. That's the whole point. So let's keep going.
Using the same tool set as the actual implementation, then it would save us a massive amount of time. And we're talking about weeks down to days for any particular new UI that we need in the game.
So anyway, this is another example of you know, some work that we're doing to increase our pace of iteration. Our UI team, as they're iterating on assets very quickly, you know, without having to reload the whole game, and you know, that's 5 minutes every time they want to do an iteration. Here it can happen instantly. So we're working pretty hard on tools to try and increase our development velocity, which is a good thing.
Yes, we like that. The tech art team has recently
They're focusing on the core tech this week.
Leg.
This is good. That's awesome, by the way. That prosthetic leg is pretty sweet. But they're focusing on the core tech. They are focusing on core tech. This is exactly what I wanted to see last week. They're focusing on core tech now. It's very good that they're doing it, and I hope they have a hell of a lot more to show me when we're going into CitizenCon. I hope that they have a hell of a lot more to explain to me when it comes to what they're doing, excuse me, behind the scenes, even in further detail, because I want it. I want that.
Touches like this add a lot.
And now for the eye candy.
To characters filling in their backstory visually. Like, how did she lose that leg? I'm sure there's probably a crazy story there, right?
Probably, you know, to ask David Haddock. I don't know myself either. But I am looking forward to seeing her in Alpha 3.3, and that's it for this week. Don't forget to tune in to Reverse the Verse live tomorrow at noon Pacific on Twitch.
CitizenCon is next week, and if you won't be joining us in Austin on October 10th, make sure you tune into the live stream. All you need to do to join is have an RSI account.
Yes, and since we'll be at CitizenCon and all working to get Alpha 3.3 ready for prime time, Around the Verse is going to be taking a break next week.
Yes, but we will be back after CitizenCon. Thanks to all the subscribers and, of course, to all of our backers. And until then, we will see you
around the verse.
All right. That was really a good Around the Verse. That one was solid. Out of a 10, I give that a solid 8. That was good information.
Thanks for watching. For the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron.
That was good information. You're going to be seeing many citizens walking around with prosthetics. Yeah, I would imagine that you would, Jeff. They're going to have to beef that up considerably. Yes, they will, Jeff. So interestingly enough, I'm very happy to get through this Around the Verse with you guys. Sorry it's so late. It's because obviously that they released this at 9 o'clock at night. But it seems like the reason why they released it late is because there is a lot of good news, and they wanted to make sure that it got across to all the citizens out there, the fans and those that aren't fans, that OCS is in fact basically going to be implemented very shortly. And because of the information that I've gotten from the Ivocati members that know me and have tested it, they're telling me the gameplay is substantially better. So I'm very much looking forward to this, because I really think, if what I'm hearing is correct, both from the ATV and from the Avocados that talked with me, that in fact we finally will have a very stable, playable, performing game. which is actually very good news if in fact that it is true. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today here tonight on the Gaimerz for this particular week's Around the Verse review. I appreciate all of you guys. And if you guys would like to take the time to get to know the channel, check it out. Many more Around the Verse reviews here with our fans. Check out our Patreon page. We do need the support to help continue the content. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who showed up tonight, as it was a slow night tonight, but I understand why. So thank you everybody. I will see you Around the Verse. Okay. All right. Bye guys.